everyone. Welcome back to Reddit Affair Diaries. How's your day going so far? I hope it's been great, but if not, don't stress, you're in the perfect spot to relax and dive into some juicy relationship stories. There's always something new and unexpected waiting around the corner here. Before we jump in, leave a comment and share something good from your day. Let's keep the good vibes going and start this story together.
This Reddit story is from the r/relationship advice subreddit, where a 45-year-old woman is dating a 24-year-old man. I guess it will be therapeutic to get my thoughts organized in a forum like this and maybe get some advice on how to process things. My parents have been separated for 12 years. I say separated because they never filed for divorce, but they're probably legally divorced by now anyway. I and my younger brother lived mostly with my mom until I got out of high school, though I think I'm closer to my dad. My mom has dated some over the years, but always had the habit of hiding things from my dad. I remember being angry about that as a teenager because my dad clearly was trying to get back together, so I thought she was stringing him along. I decided that I wouldn't play along with the lies, and so she stopped bringing her friends around me. I guess that's a large part of why I'm closer to my dad now. Now my dad found out 2 nights ago that she's been seeing a guy who is my age for a little over a month. I was understandably shocked and confused, but my dad was sick with worry for her. I took off work yesterday to comfort him, and I think he's better today, but it was still a rough day. To explain why he was more worried than jealous or angry, my mom had a gastric bypass surgery a few years ago for weight loss. With that surgery, there's a real chance of a person replacing eating with some other addiction, so she's kind of an easy mark. They did a cooking stream on YouTube, he works part-time in streams, in which he was using some common grooming tactics. Things like coercing her to answer questions and talking about more romantic things on stream. My brother still lives with her, and he said she hasn't been home in 2 or 3 weeks now, which makes me suspect isolation as well. My brother already said he doesn't like the guy. Before going public with the relationship, my mom had tried to push them into being friends, playing games together and stuff. It's good he saw through it though. The guy acts like he wouldn't hesitate to close an argument with, "I banged your mom." I think I'm personally less bothered by the relationship, inappropriate as it is, than by the fact that she's still trying to lie and cover things up. I feel like the boy in Secondhand Lions, and it bothers me that I'm used to it. This is clearly a lot to process, and organizing my thoughts has helped somewhat. Any help or advice with anything is appreciated. I'll answer questions if anything is unclear. I'm sure I missed something. Relevant comment. Honestly, it kind of sounds like you are infantilizing your mom. I'm 40, and I've briefly dated men in their 20s. While I wouldn't recommend it, there is nothing notably wrong about it. Why don't you ask her about it? Response by OP. I get what you're saying. It's not so much the age difference that bothers me as the way she's handling it. You shouldn't introduce your son to a guy close to his age as a buddy and then start dating the guy. And clearly she feels like she needs to hide things for whatever reason. I'll have to have discussions with everyone involved eventually, but I need to process things first. Comment. She's a grown woman and there's not much you can do, red flags or not. I know that fact doesn't magically make you worry less, but I think you should try not to worry that much and concentrate on your life for the time being. As far as you know, the only fishy thing that's going on, except the age difference, is your mother being at that guy's place for 3 weeks straight. The relationship is still quite fresh, so she might be in the honeymoon phase. The phase when people who just started dating don't want to separate at all. Keeping in touch with your mother is the only thing you can do for now. Response by OP. I know, and I wasn't really looking for a course of actions here beyond that. This whole situation is just something I have to figure out for myself. Like I said in the post, aside from red flags in the relationship, I'm more concerned with her feeling that she needs to hide things. Maybe that's a little selfish of me, I don't know. Sorry if I come off as argumentative. It's just hard to explain everything. Our next Reddit story is from the subreddit r/relationship advice, where my mother's 58M new fiancé wants me to call him Dad. He's 24 and I am 35-year-old. How do I navigate this? Please buckle in because this is all so weird. I'm a 35-year-old man, and for some backstory, my dad died when I was 19, leaving my mom with me and my 2 siblings. I'm the oldest. It took some time, but eventually my mom started dating again. We don't live together per se, but our houses back onto each other and have a gate, so it's pretty common for her to offer to do my laundry or me just go over for dinner or go look after our dog. That kind of stuff. Plus me and my siblings go over there for dinner every other Friday night or so. A bit after she started, The men she's been dating have been getting younger and younger, and I've never had a problem with them. She's been very open to me and my siblings that she wants to get married again, and we've always been supportive. At least after the initial shocks, lol. The latest guy is by far the most serious, and they've been dating since around last June. He proposed at the start of autumn, and they want to get married next summer. Again, me and my siblings are fine with this because it's her life and we trust him. He's a nice guy and they clearly love each other. But anyway, so long and short is, this weekend, her fiancé, let's call him Phil, calls me and asks me if I could come over. I say, yeah, sure, I'll be over after work, and I assumed he just needed help with some DIY stuff they're doing. When I get over there, he calls me sport and says we need to talk. I should mention this is something he does to me and my little brother, calling us things like kid, sport, scout, little buddy, or my personal favorite, calling us red and blue seemingly out of nowhere. My brother is 30, by the way. He tried it with my little sister, 28, once and called her princess once, but he stopped when she just stared at him. So thing with Phil is that he reminds me a lot of Charlie Day's character in Horrible Bosses, in that his sole ambition has always been to meet a girl, get married, and have a family. When he told me and my brother this, my brother made some joke about how maybe our mom's going to come short on the last part, and he got very upset, but they made up after. Anyway, so I go round and I ask if my mom's around, and he says no, it's just him, and that we really need to talk man to man. I say sure, and he starts talking about how he's always wanted to be a father, etc., and raise a son to call his own, and then he drops this bombshell by saying, now I know I can never replace your father, the man who made you, but it would mean the world to me if you could call me Dad. I'll admit it, I sniggered a little, and then I knew he was serious because he looked like he was about to cry, and he didn't drop it either. I asked if he really meant it, and he got really emotional and started talking about what it means to be a man, and how his purpose is to have and provide for a family, and he wants me and my siblings to be part of that family. Like he reiterated he'll never replace my father, and this did rub me the wrong way a bit. But he's ready to step up and be my dad and provide for and protect me and my siblings. And I'm just sat there thinking, dude, I'm a decade older than you and live in a separate house. I don't need providing for, and even if I did, I don't think a guy a third of my age who works part-time at the hardware store and is into collecting manga is the man to do it. No offense if you are into that, lol, just, I don't know, I was a bit taken aback. I was in shock, so just said, okay, and he gets emotional again, but in a happy way, talking about how he wants to go camping or go to a baseball game. I don't even like baseball, LMAO. And how he joined the Lions this year, and how he wants to bring me into it too, as his boy, which just feels so surreal. Even more so as I'm a Shriner, so all this talk of service and charity isn't the brag he thinks it is, because again, I'm 10 years older than this guy. Well, I ended it by just saying, this has gotten a bit too weird, and I was going home. He got very upset and I left, called my brother, and he agreed it sounds weird as. Later my mom called me, and she wasn't disappointed but admitted it's made him very upset and depressed. I told her that if he's embarrassed, he doesn't need to be. I get he's excited about the marriage and we can just laugh this off as a funny story. She then said that wasn't what he was upset about. He, and she too a bit, is upset about the fact he poured his heart out and I rejected him. She said, yeah, it is a bit kooky, but this is how he proves to himself he's a man, and I guess I was a bit angry and said something like, first off, it's not my job to certify what's between his legs, and second, this doesn't prove he's a man. It just proves he's a nut job. I apologized immediately, but she said she didn't want to hear it and hung up. She called back 10 minutes later and we apologized, and she begged me to just go along with it until he has some kids to call his own. I won't go too much into the details here, but she sort of let slip they plan to try IVF treatment because she's not ready to give up on being a mom just yet. And while I have my own thoughts about whether or not that's a good idea, I'm not here to litigate on that. We finished up fine, and I reiterated I'd support her, and she agreed that it was definitely a stressful situation for me, but begged me to at least think about it. Which leads me to here. I did think it over, and obviously I'm going to say no. I had a dad and he died. Rest in peace, Dad. And that's the only dad I've ever needed, I've ever wanted, and I'll ever bestow that title on. I'm not asking if someone's unreasonable or what I should do, more so what I should say. This clearly means a lot to him for some reason, and I deeply love my mom, so want to try and minimize the damage. Especially as we're still so involved in each other's lives and they live behind me. How can I make it clear to them as painlessly as possible that I think this is weird and borderline offensive. I really don't want to rip the Band-Aid off because I fear what it might do to the family. Edit. Showed my brother the post and he laughed so hard he started coughing lol, then said we should call him Dr. Phil and each other blue and red. So swap the nicknames he gave us around. Thoughts? Edit 2. As people were asking, he has no access to my mom's money or anything like that. She rents the house and it came pre-furnished and otherwise has no real assets. She doesn't make a lot of money anyway, so there's no pecuniary motive we could think of. Relevant comment. I would totally laugh if this happened to me. Then I would pinch his cheek and in a little baby voice go, "Oh, it's so cute you want me to call you dad. When you turn 25 and become a big boy, your car insurance premiums will go down." Comment. My mother-in-law is like this. To be fair, her second husband is her age. But they met when my spouse was 22-24-ish, married when we were 27. And she had a talk where she expected her son, my spouse, to call him dad. He just ignored her and walked away. Never did anything about it. I guess she gave up after one try. But it was so weird. Comment. I think both he and your mother have some serious delusions going on.